You know that silent prison you carry inside? That hidden weight that keeps pulling you back, no matter how much you try to escape? Addiction is not just about substances or habits or routines. Addiction is the invisible chain that ties your soul to something that steals your freedom, day after day. And here is the truth most people never dare to face. The addiction doesn't live outside of you. It grows in the deepest corners of your own mind. Carl Jung understood this with terrifying clarity. He saw that the human being is not destroyed by what he touches, drinks, or smokes, but by what he cannot face within himself. Addiction is nothing more than a desperate attempt of the psyche to silence the emptiness, to numb the chaos, to hide the wound that was never healed. And as long as you keep running, that wound will keep calling you back, stronger every time. Listen carefully. The enemy is not the bottle, the pill, the screen, or the toxic pattern you repeat. The enemy is the refusal to look into the mirror of your own shadow. Jung revealed that every addiction is a substitute, a replacement for the connection you lost with your own soul. It is not weakness. It is not sin. It is not simply lack of willpower. It is the scream of a soul that wants to be heard, but you keep silencing it with whatever numbs the pain faster. And this is why so many never break free, because they fight the wrong battle. They spend years wrestling with the external substance, the visible behavior, without ever touching the hidden wound that feeds it. And then they feel hopeless. They believe they are broken. They believe they are doomed to repeat the cycle forever. But Jung's insight strikes like lightning. The addiction is not your curse. It is your teacher. Imagine hearing this now. What you call weakness might actually be the doorway to your deepest strength. What you call shame might be the very signal pointing to your healing. Your addiction is not here to destroy you. It is here to show you the part of your soul you have abandoned. And the day you stop fighting blindly and start listening, everything begins to change. Think of the moment you reach for that habit again, that automatic pattern you swore to leave behind. That moment is not random. It is a message. It is the sign that something inside you is starving, and you are feeding it with poison because you don't know how to give it truth. Jung teaches, till you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Addiction is exactly that. Your unconscious trying to run the show while you stand helpless, calling it destiny. But today, right now, you are hearing this secret. You are not powerless. The chains are not unbreakable. What you need is not more force, not more punishment, not more shame. What you need is the courage to face the shadow, to ask yourself, what pain am I avoiding? What wound am I refusing to heal? What emptiness am I desperately trying to fill? When you dare to confront those questions, the addiction begins to lose its grip. And I know, these words may feel heavy, even unbearable. But deep down, you feel the truth vibrating. That pull inside your chest, that whisper saying, "This is me." That's your soul recognizing itself. It's not weakness, it's awakening. And if you dare to continue, if you dare to stay with me until the end, you will see what Jung really meant by breaking free. Because freedom is not the absence of addiction, it is the rebirth of the self that no longer needs it. There comes a moment when you realize that no substance, no pleasure, no distraction has ever truly satisfied the hunger inside you. You keep reaching again and again, and it never feels enough. And maybe you've told yourself 1,000 times, this is the last one. Tomorrow I stop. But tomorrow comes, and the cycle repeats. Not because you are weak, but because you are searching in the wrong direction. Carl Jung uncovered something few dare to accept. Every addiction is a distorted search for the sacred. When the human soul loses its connection with meaning, it tries to replace it with intensity. And the more disconnected you are from your inner truth, the more desperate your search for external substitutes becomes. That is why people can drown in alcohol, lose themselves in endless hours online, or sabotage themselves in destructive relationships. The addiction is never about the object, it's about the absence of soul. Think about it. The momentary high, the rush, the escape, it always fades. And then comes the emptiness again, even louder. Jung would say this emptiness is the voice of your shadow calling for integration. Every shot you take, every cigarette, every compulsive action, it's not just a habit, It's a signal, a red light flashing from your unconscious. Something vital in you is being ignored. Something sacred in you is waiting to be seen. And here lies the secret Jung wanted us to face. You don't destroy an addiction by cutting it out of your life like a tumor. You dissolve its power by facing what it was trying to protect you from. Because behind every addictive act, there is a wound crying for attention. A childhood scar, a trauma you buried, a truth you silenced, an emptiness you feared. And until you bring that shadow into the light, the cycle will find new ways to continue. This is why so many treatment methods fail. They attack the symptom, not the source. They demand discipline, but never guide the soul. And you, who have tried to discipline yourself, know the frustration. You fight, you resist, you fall again. But imagine shifting the battle. Imagine no longer fighting the substance, but embracing the part of you that is hurting. Imagine asking, what is my pain trying to say? What part of me needs love instead of punishment? The moment you shift your perspective, something powerful happens. Addiction begins to lose its mask. You stop seeing it as a monster and start seeing it as a mirror. And in that mirror, you find the face of your abandoned self, the self you left behind when life demanded you to be strong, the self you silenced when the world told you not to cry, the self that was never given the chance to heal. That self has been waiting, hidden in the shadows, using addiction as a desperate signal to remind you, I am still here. And here's the part that shocks most people. The addiction that you hate may actually be your soul's last attempt to wake you up. Without it, you would have continued to live asleep, numb, disconnected. Painful as it is, it has been your alarm clock screaming at you to confront your truth. And now you are hearing these words not by accident, but because your time has come. So let me ask you, how long will you keep running? How many more years will you let the cycle steal from you? How much longer will you silence the voice that is begging for healing? Jung would challenge you. Stop asking, how do I stop the addiction? And start asking, what truth is this addiction pointing me toward? Because once you face that truth, once you embrace the shadow, you won't need the addiction anymore. It won't disappear in one magical moment, but its power will weaken. And you will begin to feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Freedom breathing through your chest. There is a brutal truth Jung never sugarcoated. The addiction is not the problem. It is the signal. And until you embrace that signal, you will keep living as a slave to it. But once you stop running and finally turn toward the shadow, something extraordinary begins to happen. The monster you feared starts to reveal itself as a wounded child. A part of you that never received love, attention, or acceptance. And in that moment, you realize you were never fighting against alcohol, drugs, lust, distraction. You were fighting against your own forgotten self. Can you feel the weight of this? How many years of your life have been wasted believing you were weak, when in truth, you were only lost? Jung believed the greatest act of courage is not conquering the world, but facing the chaos within. And maybe this is why you are here, listening now. Not by accident, but because something in your soul is tired of chains, tired of pretending, tired of the cycle that never ends. Think of this. What if the secret to breaking your addiction was not to resist harder, but to listen deeper? What if, instead of punishing yourself, you dared to sit in silence and ask, what am I truly longing for? Because beneath every craving lies a hunger for connection, not with the substance, not with the world, but with your own essence. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole. And no one becomes whole by denying their darkness. You become whole by embracing it, by pulling the shadow into the light, by giving love to the very part of you that you once despised. And when you do this, something miraculous occurs. The need for the addictive substitute starts to dissolve, because you are finally feeding the hunger with truth instead of poison. Pause for a moment and imagine this. Imagine waking up tomorrow without the constant weight of shame. Imagine looking at the habit that used to control you, and for the first time, feeling no chains, no pull, no hunger. Imagine walking into your day with a calm mind, because the war inside has ended. This is not fantasy. It is the natural result of healing the wound, instead of endlessly fighting the symptom. But you must be warned, the path is not easy. Your shadow will resist. It will tempt you back to the old escape because facing pain feels unbearable at first. Yet here is the paradox Jung revealed. The pain you avoid is already ruling your life. By avoiding it, you suffer twice. By confronting it, you suffer once, and then you heal. And healing is not a straight road. There will be days you stumble, nights you fall back into old patterns. But listen carefully. Falling back does not mean you are doomed. It means the wound is still speaking. Every time you fall is another chance to listen more deeply, to embrace more fully, to move closer to wholeness. The true measure of freedom is not never falling. It is no longer being enslaved by the fall. What if, instead of saying, "I failed again," you could say, "I heard my shadow again, and I am still learning its language." That shift alone transforms the prison into a path. And that path, if you dare to walk it, leads to something far greater than sobriety. It leads to the rebirth of your true self. The self that is no longer hiding, no longer starving, no longer desperate for substitutes. And perhaps the most powerful truth Jung left us with is this: every person who dares to confront their shadow becomes a light for others. Your healing is not only for you. Every chain you break is a chain broken for your family, for your children, for the generations after you. By freeing yourself, you become the proof that freedom is possible. So let me ask you, are you ready to look at the wound instead of the bottle? Are you ready to embrace the shadow instead of running from it? Because in that decision, right there, lies the secret Jung wanted you to know. You are not broken, you are unfinished. And the addiction that has tormented you is simply the invitation to finally become whole. Now listen closely, because this is the moment where everything shifts. Addiction has whispered to you for years, convincing you that you are powerless, that you are chained forever. But the truth is, you are far more powerful than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Carl Jung revealed the secret. Freedom does not come from resisting harder. It comes from awakening deeper. When you awaken, when you shine light on your shadow, the addiction loses its throne. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror. For years, you saw a reflection you hated, a reflection marked by failure, by cravings, by shame. But today, in this moment, imagine looking again and seeing not a slave, but a warrior who has scars. Yes, but scars that tell a story of survival. A warrior who is no longer running from the darkness, but carrying it as proof of strength. This is who you truly are, the one who is capable of transforming the very chains that bound you into weapons of wisdom. Every time you felt defeated, every time you swore you would quit and then fell again, it wasn't the end. It was training for this exact moment. Because only those who know the weight of chains can teach others the taste of freedom. Your pain has prepared you. Your addiction has shaped your courage. And now your shadow no longer needs to be an enemy. It can become your greatest ally. Do you feel that fire rising inside? That small voice whispering, "Yes, I want to be free. I want to be whole." That is the soul awakening. And here is the choice before you. Continue living as if you are broken, or rise and reclaim the life that has always been waiting for you. Jung would remind you. The path to freedom is not the absence of struggle. It is the courage to face it with open eyes and an open heart. So let me tell you this. You are not your addiction. You are not your failures. You are not the nights you couldn't control yourself, nor the mornings filled with regret. You are the one who is still here, still breathing, still searching. And that means it is not over. As long as there is breath in your lungs, there is strength in your soul to change everything. And maybe you needed to hear these words today. Maybe this was the reminder your unconscious has been waiting for. Because sometimes, the exact message we need finds us at the exact moment we are ready. So hear me clearly, your story is not ending in addiction. Your story is beginning in awakening. Now imagine 1 year from today. Imagine walking into a room without the weight of shame. Imagine your family looking at you with pride. Imagine your mornings filled with clarity instead of regret. That future is not a dream. It is your destiny if you dare to walk this path. The first step is not perfect control. The first step is honesty. The second is courage. And the third is love. The love to embrace yourself fully, shadow and all. Carl Jung revealed the secret to break any addiction. Turn inward, face your shadow, and reclaim your soul. And when you do, You will discover that the addiction never had the final word, you did. So if these words lit something inside of you, don't let it fade. Carry it with you. Act on it. And if this message moved your heart, share it. Because someone else out there is still chained, still lost, and they need this reminder just as much as you did. Take this moment, breathe deep, and remember, the shadow only wins when you refuse to see it. But the moment you face it with courage, the light returns. And in that light, you will finally be free.